Hello, it's Nikki, and welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad so many of you are loving the interviews, and thank you so much for sharing, rating, and reviewing. I so appreciate it. Anyway, I wanted to continue the conversation of success. So often we hear the extremes, don't we, of rags to riches, homeless to billionaire, sleeping on a random sofa to a blinged up palace. But what about the in-between bits? I know personally I have had many. How do you get from A to Z? But also, how do you get from A to B or F to M? In these mini episodes, I want to provide questions to ponder, ideas that might spark a brainstorm, or raise topics that might be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, but they will support you to go to the next level of your business. As always, please come over to social media at Nikki Raby, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and breakthroughs. Hello, happy new year. Welcome back. I hope your year has started in exactly the way that you wanted it to. For me, it's been about going slowly but surely. There can be such a pressure at this time of year to do all of the things, to make life-changing decisions that we definitely want to give up on about day 3. But you know me, I'm here for the long game. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm really interested this year in taking things to the next level, but also enjoying it, enjoying the process, not running myself into the ground, not hustling for the sake of hustling, and enjoying the process. So I wanted to share some practical things that I've been working on and thinking about, and basically share what is going on in my head at the moment. As I mentioned, if you go anywhere near social media, there is so much marketing, conversation, pressure, all of the things. And what I want to do in this episode is to make it really manageable for you and to take the pressure off slightly. I was recently interviewed for Tamu's podcast. It's called Live 360, and if you go on iTunes, you can find it there. And I was talking about the 3 pillars that I not only work with myself when I'm thinking about coaching, but how I work with my clients as well. And the 3 main pillars I talk about are vision, strategy, and mindset. And they are an awesome threesome, and they need to work together in order for me to get where I want to get to. That sounds very clinical, I know, but let me go into a bit more detail. So firstly, when I'm talking about the vision, it's really important to understand what it is that you want. And I'm going to push you to be really specific here. So often, and I don't know why this is, maybe we were just kind of taught this at school or in our early childhood, maybe it's been programmed, maybe it's a female thing, but this sense of just being a bit vague and sort of seeing what happens, shrugging our shoulders, hoping for the best, waiting and seeing. And this year, I really want you to be encouraged and to feel that you have everything you need to really be the driver of your own life, to really get things in motion and make stuff happen. Perhaps there have been things over the years that you've tried and then maybe stopped or dabbled with. And I really want you to know that this year can be your year, and you can change things and you can tweak things, you can lose things, you can gain things. It's all for the taking, basically. So I want you to get really clear on what that vision looks like, and getting a clear understanding not only of what that vision looks like, but how you will know when you've got there. So getting to the nitty gritty of the goal, and what does that look like at its absolute core? What does that goal, hope, or dream mean to you? So sometimes when people say, I just want more money or to feel more like me or to be happier, it's so important that you really go into detail of what those things are. What are you doing? What's your ideal day? How does work feel to you? What family time do you want to have? Who do you want to spend time with? Where do you want to go on adventures? All that good stuff. Finally, the piece of the vision that's important as well is how will you know when you've got there? There have been times over the years where I have created those days that I visioned about several years ago where I was like, oh, hang about, I've actually got there. I've actually made it. Oh my goodness, this feels really great. So it's really important that you know what that end destination is or that next destination for you. Secondly, the strategy has been really key for me. Sometimes we all say these things like, yeah, I want to make 100 grand this year, but not knowing how you're going to get there can be all kinds of stifling. So if you haven't made 50 grand by the first half of the year, you're suddenly going to go, right, well, it's not meant for me, and we start to talk ourselves out of it. So you need to check in with what are the steps that you need to take? What do you need to learn? Where do you need help? And FYI, it is completely and utterly okay to ask for help. Again, it's something that a lot of us are not very good at asking for. If you need help, please get in touch with the people that you need to. If you need my help, I'm here. So let me know how I can support you. Also, how can you keep yourself accountable and on track? If I'm setting a really huge goal for myself, I need to have that daily or weekly or monthly check-in to know where I'm up to. The worst thing that you can do is get, 6 weeks down the line and suddenly go, oh, I can't remember what my goal was. What am I working on again? You want to have those goals at the forefront of your mind, because it's going to help you to actively bring them into your life and then for them to be part of your life as well. Thirdly, the mindset. Oh, this is such an important and underrated piece of the puzzle. Working on your mindset, your confidence, your self-belief are crucial muscles that need to be worked. And as grown adults, we have so many stories and beliefs that are buried deep within us. And on the surface, we can continually think more positive or be open. However, if our subconscious underneath has a noisy rabble of, well, it'll probably never work, or who am I to do this? Or I don't ever manage to stick to things, there's going to be resistance. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a conflict. What you really want on one level and what you believe is possible. So at all times, even if it feels out of your comfort zone, even if it feels like this could never be a possibility, starting to act as if and bringing that gap closer and closer together. And one of the things that I was sharing over on Instagram the other day is one way that you can align your mindset and your strategy is to write your availability and unavailability lists. Now, this may take some work. Some of the points that you make may seem a little bit out of reach. And that's okay. The first step is always awareness. Now, I've shared this a lot over the years. This analogy of you can't just bring a whopping great big sofa into your living room unless you've got rid of some stuff or you've measured to check whether it's actually going to fit. It's an interesting one because sometimes what we end up doing is just loading more stuff into the mix. So I did this exercise myself and it really helped me to get clear on what I wanted. And so I thought I'd just share a few of mine. So here's what I'm available to do. I'm available to serve my ideal clients, to offer a fantastic service, to be a champion, a supporter, an encourager, and be kind always. I am available to create time for my creativity, to give myself headspace, time and energy to creating projects that I am very proud of. I am available to create collaborations, to support other people, to do good in the world, to stand in my power. Okay, here's a few examples of what I'm unavailable for. I am unavailable for bitchy nonsense. You know, when suddenly somebody turns to you and goes, oh my God, did you hear? I'm also available for sharing too soon. Sometimes when you have a portfolio career, it can be really intriguing to others. And on one hand, There's some really personal questions, and secondly, some eye rolls of, like, how are you going to do that then? Or, people really pay for that? Or, I thought the internet stuff was just all a bit, scammy. I've made a commitment to myself. I never want to leak my hopes and dreams too soon. I only want to share where I will be heard and not judged in the first instance. I'm unavailable for funky business. Oh, could you do X, Y, and Z? I'm so sorry, darling, but there isn't a budget. You know the drills, pals. Oh my goodness, huge expectations of your time and effort, all for exposure. No, thank you. Or somebody wanting to pick your brains for free, but not being ready for your time. They're not ready to pay, to say please and thank you, to take action, to do the work. Or the standard copied and pasted message. Oh my goodness, who else gets this on LinkedIn? Tell me your biggest goal this year. Let's connect. Nah, mate, is always the answer. Now, I know that these are a little bit vague and I haven't gone into too much detail, say, for example, of what I'm creating in terms of creativity. But hopefully this will be a lovely starter for you to start thinking in this way of what you're available for and what you are not. Now, this week, we finally got into a routine as a family again. Oh my goodness, it is game changing. We had such a lovely time over Christmas as a family and downtime, and really enjoyed that sense actually of not having to be here, there and everywhere and being able to have quiet time. However, there comes a point where everybody gets a bit of cabin fever and everybody is craving a bit of normality again. And certainly that's what my son was. I think I mentioned it on Instagram. His behaviour was not the best. And I think it was basically a reaction to the fact that everything's a bit different, Mum. I'm not really sure what's going on. And so I'm going to test all the boundaries. Now, for a while, we've had this same bookcase in our living room. We've lived here nearly 8 years. So over time, our life and our setup and adding the people that live into this house has changed. And this bookcase was driving me up the wall. It was one of those that was really difficult to get to. It was in the corner, but there was another piece of furniture kind of across it. And the top two shelves became just this dumping ground where basically anything that was random, or if our cleaner was cleaning something, she would just shove all of these things. And I really wanted to get back a little bit and move it around and freshen up the space a little bit. I love this kind of time of year to do those sort of things. I actually want to do my spring clean now rather than in April because I'll probably be eating chocolate then or something. But I had this craving for more space, to actually see what we had in our home, in our world, and just in our general day-to-day life, and see if there was a way that we could start to be much more discerning. So what I did, the first thing, well, I can't believe, it's so weird to think about this, because there was a time, certainly when I discovered self-development and I discovered this world of coaching, and I was training to be a coach and I was really learning and educating myself. I got rid of so many of my self-help or business books yesterday. And that feels really counterintuitive on the one hand, because it's like, well, all these people profess to have all the answers. All these people are going to be able to help me to grow my business. However, because a lot of the books that I'd purchased were for research purposes, or they were really popular at the time, so I wanted to read them and see what they were all about, there were so many books on my bookcase that A, I didn't really resonate with. B, some I hadn't really read beyond the first couple of chapters because they just weren't for me. Or C, there were some books that were just really outdated that I didn't connect with, and they just didn't feel like they aligned with my lifestyle. For one, there was one book that I had called The Miracle Morning. Now, I think this is a great book. It's a really interesting read. However, once I kind of knew what the principles were and then kind of changed them around to make them work for me, I didn't really need to have it in my life anymore. And once I gave myself that permission to release books and also know that I didn't necessarily have to be the owner of these things. I think sometimes we can have so much guilt about giving away stuff or moving stuff on. And actually there could be somebody who then goes to a charity shop and they found the book that they're looking for, or this could be the wisdom that somebody really needs at that time. And I'm really a huge believer of passing things on, of making products or making stuff work its magic. So that was really interesting in terms of getting rid of books as well. And you know what? Once you're in that frame of mind, once you start, it's so refreshing. And then you suddenly start going to your partner or whoever you live with. Do you want this? Do you want this? Okay, fine. All right. I'm zipping it. I'm taking it to the charity shop, and poor thing, they don't get anything left to play with. Also, what we wanted to do was to start setting some boundaries. So definitely our house is one of those where we have lots of family around, we have people to stay, and because the space is probably not as big as perhaps we would like or what we're saving for, we kind of end up moving stuff around, and we have a lot of big toys, and that's another point. But I wanted to start to set some boundaries and put stuff away. It can be really tempting when you have children to make everything really accessible and really fun, but everything, the stuff was just starting to take over. And actually, when it's really out of control, it makes me feel a bit out of control as well. Another thing that we discussed as a family of what do we want to do this year? What do we want to replace? What do we want our family life to look like? Where do we want to go? And basically going into a bit of detail of what 2019 looks like. Because again, once you have that vision, it's much easier to shift the mindset, to let go of stuff, to give yourself permission around these things and just go into detail. And I hate those hoarder programs where clearly people have got some sort of mental health issues sometimes. And I sometimes find those people who go around really insensitive, and they just see it as stuff that needs to be gotten rid of. And it's far deeper than that. We all know this. Next, I thought about what space that I needed. So I've made a bit of a rule with my son that no toys are allowed in our bedroom. And of course, you know, he really still struggles with this because sometimes he wants to show me stuff or bring me stuff, and I might be just sitting on the bed or something like that. Or he wants to bring some of his friends, as he calls them, like his Teds, to come in. But I'm really trying to put my foot down on big random vehicles that I'll trip over being all over my bedroom floor. So I've started to say the words and ask those questions of like, is there a better place for this? Or would you like mummy to come in the living room and we'll play with it there? And just sort of give myself that permission to look around our home and really think about what is generally annoying me. So, you know, that stuff maybe you've had, I don't know. I mean, Matt buys, it's really good of him to do this, but he buys loads of big issues because there's a lady outside our supermarket and I think she's pregnant with her second child, and he really wants to help the cause. It's a cause he believes in, as do I. However, he never quite gets round to reading these things. So there's big issues all over our houses. So what I'm trying to do is create different areas where stuff actually goes so other people get to know where things are kept. Finally, I want to create a place where I want to create this rhythm, actually, how I can cut off my home and my work-life balance. So no more doing emails in bed, even on the coldest mornings. But I think that's sometimes a great thing about working from home is that sometimes you can just, especially if I'm writing something or creating something like this, I can really hunker down and get clear, get focused and have no distractions. However, that does mean sometimes working for yourself that there's always something to do and there isn't necessarily a cutoff tough point. So this year has been about really being specific about what does my home life look like and what does my work life. And when I'm working at my desk, making sure that I'm being really specific and being in that frame of mind. And then say in the evenings where I'm working less, to turn off my phone, to be really strict with myself and take that consideration. The final point that I want to make, because I don't want you to think that I'm smug and got all of this sorted, my goodness, it is very much a work in progress. And even as I'm looking around me now, I'm just thinking, gosh, there's so much to do in this house. And it happens to be a really beautiful sunny January day as I look out the window and that sunlight is streaming in, and it's suddenly like you going, oh my goodness, look at that dust. But my final commitment to myself, and maybe you want to take this on as well, is to take action every single day. And this could be the smallest thing of getting rid of one or two things, or making a commitment that I'm not going to move that same piece of paperwork around and round again, but I'm actually going to do something with it and move it on, or book that appointment that I've been meaning to. Oh, there's so much to do as always, but hopefully that has given you some points to start the new year and to make it really actionable. So if you like, with a pen and paper, you can go back on the points if you want to and just write any notes for yourself. As I mentioned, this is just what I'm doing, so there's never any pressure for you to do exactly the same. But if there are one or two points that you think might work for you, take them. They're all yours. And also be sure to check the description box. There's lots of exciting things happening. I'm blogging much more, so there'll be lots of new writing for you and interviews and inspiring stuff. I'm really hoping to build my platform this year with lots of new videos and resources and things to really help you. And also I've got a couple of new offerings happening this month, so keep your eyes peeled. As always, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it, and I love receiving your comments and emails, so thank you. Keep them coming, and I wish you a healthy, wealthy new year full of love and all that good stuff, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening as always. If you do want to rate and review and subscribe over on iTunes, or even share it with a friend, I would love it. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to find out more about me and how we can work together, please go to nikkiraby.com or connect with me across social media at Nikki Raby. I'll see you soon. Bye.